Hi everyone, welcome back to Learn With Me. I'm Deborah Hanson, and today we're going to look at AP Psychology 5.5, Treatment of Psychological Disorders. There are 7 CED questions for 5.5. This is the second one, so part 2. On the slide, you're going to see all the key terms for 5.5, Treatment of Psychological Disorders. So this is all the CED questions together. There's a separate video that you can find on my channel, which has all the definitions and real-life examples for each of the key terms. I always say the key to the 5 is knowing your key terms, because you need to be able to apply them to your FRQs on test day. So find a system that works for you and learn the words. So before we get started, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. Hit that like button, send me messages, emails, comments. It's really great. Thank you so much. I appreciate hearing from all of you, and I love making the videos, so it's really nice to hear from you and your suggestions also. So please do that. So we're going to start today. Just before we get started, if you want to follow along with the full slideshow, workbook, and study notes, so basically all the scripts that I use in talking about all of the different CED questions, you can find those in the link below at my Teacher Pay Teacher store, and you'll find all the units, not just unit 5, but 1 to 5. So hopefully that can help you study for the AP exam. So today we're going to look at CED question number 2, describe research and trends in the treatment of psychological disorders. So if you've been watching my videos, you always know that I like to start with an overview before we get really unpacking the essential knowledge. So the overview of trends in treatment. So the key idea is that the treatment of psychological disorders has evolved significantly with the shift from institutionalization to decentralized care. So some of the major changes we're going to look at: deinstitutionalization in the late 20th century, increased use of psychotropic medications, integration of therapy and medication in treatment plans. Let's start by taking a look at a major turning point in the history of mental health care: deinstitutionalization. This movement began in the mid-20th century and dramatically changed how people with mental illnesses were treated. Deinstitutionalization is the process of releasing individuals from long-term psychiatric hospitals or asylums and shifting their care to community-based settings. It was driven by both medical advancements and changing societal attitudes towards mental illness and human rights. So let's look at some of the key points. Advances in medication. One of the biggest enablers of deinstitutionalization was the development of psychotropic medications, especially antipsychotic drugs like thorazine. These medications allowed individuals with severe disorders like schizophrenia or bipolar disorder to manage their symptoms without constant hospitalization. A shift towards community-based care would be the second. Instead of isolating individuals in large, often overcrowded institutions, the new approach emphasized outpatient treatment, therapy, support groups, and local mental health clinics. The goal was to help individuals live more independent, integrated lives within a society. Here's an example. For instance, someone diagnosed with schizophrenia might now be treated with antipsychotic medication, attend regular therapy sessions, and live in supportive housing, instead of being confined to a hospital for years or even decades. So why does this matter? Deinstitutionalization was an important step in recognizing the human dignity of people with mental illness. It also highlighted the need for accessible, ongoing support in the community. However, it wasn't without its challenges. Some individuals were released without proper follow-up care, leading to homelessness or incarceration for some. So deinstitutionalization represents a major evolution in how we care for those with psychological disorders. It reminds us that mental health treatment should focus on both recovery and reintegration, not just containment. We also have to talk about a major breakthrough in the treatment of mental health disorders: psychotropic medications. These are drugs that change brain chemistry to help reduce or manage the symptoms of psychological disorders. They've played a huge role in modern psychiatry and have helped millions of people live more stable, independent lives. Psychotropic medications are medications that act on the central nervous system, especially the brain, to influence mood, thought processes, and behavior. They don't cure mental illness, but they can significantly reduce symptoms and make therapy much more effective. So let's look at the different types of psychotropic medications. First, we have antidepressants. These are used to treat depression and sometimes anxiety or PTSD. The most common type is SSRIs, or selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, like Prozac or Zoloft. They work by increasing serotonin levels in the brain to improve mood and emotional regulation. The next one is antipsychotics, used to treat schizophrenia and other psychotic disorders, which involve symptoms like hallucinations or delusions. These medications help reduce psychosis and bring a person closer to reality. For example, Risperdal or thorazine. The next one are anxiolytics. Okay, so you can see that in the word below, anxiolytics. These are anti-anxiety medications, often used for generalized anxiety disorder, panic attacks, or short-term stress. Benzodiazepines like Xanax or Valium are very common, but they must be used cautiously due to the potential for dependence on them. So you can get addicted to them, so you have to be really careful with those. The last one is mood stabilizers, used primarily for bipolar disorder, where people experience extreme mood swings. Lithium is one of the most well-known mood stabilizers and can help prevent manic or depressive episodes. So what about the impact of psychotropic medications? One, we have improved symptom management. These medications help reduce the severity and frequency of symptoms, making it easier for individuals to function in daily life. The next one is greater independence. Many people who once required long-term hospitalization can now live in the community, go to school or work, maintain relationships, thanks in part to psychotropic medications. Psychotropic medications have revolutionized the field of mental health. While they're not the whole solution and often work best when combined with therapy, they're a very powerful tool that allows people to regain control of their lives. We also have to talk about a treatment approach that's becoming more and more common in psychology, and that's combination therapy, or the integration of psychotherapy and medication. Many health professionals now recommend treating disorders from multiple angles, both biological and psychological, for the best possible outcomes. So what exactly is combination therapy? Well, combination therapy involves using psychotropic medications alongside psychotherapy to create a more comprehensive treatment plan. So for example, someone with depression might take an antidepressant to manage the chemical imbalances in the brain, while also participating in cognitive behavioral therapy to change negative thought patterns and behavior. So let's look at breaking that down a little bit. So what are the benefits of combination therapy? One, medications address biological symptoms. So medications like SSRIs, antipsychotics, or mood stabilizers help reduce biological symptoms such as low energy, mood swings, or psychosis. And this allows the client to be more emotionally stable and better able to engage in therapy. The next one is therapy targets emotional and behavioral issues. While medication can help balance brain chemistry, it doesn't teach coping skills or help someone reframe those harmful thoughts they may have. That's where therapy comes in, to address the underlying thought patterns, emotional struggles, and behaviors that contribute to the disorder they are experiencing. Now let's talk about some modern approaches to combination therapy. First of all, evidence-based practice. Therapists now rely on scientific research to determine which treatments are most effective for each disorder. So for instance, cognitive behavioral therapy is evidence-based for anxiety and depression, while dialectical behavior therapy is supported for borderline personality disorder. Then we have tailored treatment plans. So no two clients are the same, just like no two students are the same. Modern therapy emphasizes personalized care, adjusting the type of therapy, medication, and treatment goals based on a person's specific needs, background, and preferences. So this approach increases both engagement and success rates. So combining therapy with medication allows us to address mental health from multiple angles: mind and body, thought, and chemistry. So this integrated approach has become the gold standard for treating many psychological disorders, especially those that are more severe or complex. So remember, if you want to follow along with the full slideshow and the notes that go along with this, just check the link below and you'll find that through my store there, where you can get everything you need to follow along. Another major shift in mental health care is community-based treatment. Instead of relying on long-term hospitalization in institutions, modern mental health services now focus more on support within the community. This approach is about bringing care to where people live, work, and connect. Community-based treatment is a decentralized approach that emphasizes outpatient treatment, local support systems, and short-term care options, rather than keeping people in psychiatric hospitals for extended periods of time. It reflects the idea that mental health care should be part of everyday life, not something isolated behind hospital walls. So here's some examples of community support services. One, we have group therapy and support groups. These offer a safe space for people to share experiences, get support, and feel less alone. And peer-to-peer support can be just as powerful as professional intervention in some cases. The second one is community mental health centers. These are local clinics that provide a range of services from counseling and medication management to crisis care. They often serve as a first point of contact for people seeking help. And lastly, crisis intervention programs. These programs respond quickly to people in immediate distress, whether it's a panic attack, suicidal thoughts, or severe anxiety. They may include hotlines, mobile crisis teams, or walk-in clinics. Why does this matter? Well, accessibility, first of all. By offering services in local settings, community-based treatments make mental health care more reachable, especially for people who can't afford private therapy or travel long distances. Secondly, it'll reduce stigmas. When mental health care becomes part of everyday community life, it feels more normal and acceptable. This helps reduce the stigma around getting help, making people more likely to seek treatments. So community-based treatments reflect a more inclusive, accessible, and humane approach to mental health care. It focuses on helping people live well within their own communities, not isolating them. And by supporting individuals where they are, we build a society that's healthier and much more compassionate. As mental health awareness grows, so does the way we research and treat psychological disorders. Let's explore some of the latest trends in research and technology that are reshaping how we understand and support mental health today. One major trend is teletherapy. It's the use of video calls, phone calls, or messaging to provide therapy remotely. It became especially popular during the COVID-19 pandemic, but it's here to stay. Teletherapy makes mental health care more accessible, especially for people in rural areas with mobility issues or busy schedules. The second one we're going to talk about is biopsychosocial model. Modern mental health care is increasingly using this biopsychosocial model. Instead of just focusing on one cause, like brain chemistry, this model looks at biological, psychological, and social factors all together. For example, depression might be influenced by genetics, that's your biology. Thought patterns is your psychology, and relationships issues, it would be your social. A holistic view allows for more personalized and effective care. There's also a big shift towards prevention and early intervention. Instead of waiting until someone is in crisis, mental health professionals now focus on building resilience, teaching coping skills, and catching symptoms early, especially in schools, workplaces, and community settings. The next one we're going to talk about is technology-assisted therapies. Technology is transforming mental health support. Today, there are apps for mindfulness, there are CBT techniques, mood tracking, and even AI chatbots that help people manage anxiety or depression between sessions. These tools are not replacements for therapy, but they can enhance access, support self-monitoring, and empower people to be more engaged in their own care. Finally, there's a strong push towards reducing the stigma around mental illness. Public awareness campaigns, social media advocacy, education programs are helping to normalize therapy, promote openness, and challenge harmful stereotypes. The more we talk about mental health, the more we can make it okay for others to seek help. And these trends show how mental health care is becoming more inclusive, more tech-friendly, and definitely more proactive. As research continues and technology evolves, we're moving towards a future where mental health support is accessible, personalized, and stigma-free. Okay, so let's have a look at some key takeaways for the AP exam. You need to understand deinstitutionalization and its causes. You need to be familiar with types of psychotropic medications and their uses. You need to be able to recognize the shift to community-based and decentralized care. And also you need to be able to highlight the importance of integrating medication with therapy. And that is all the essential knowledge you need to know for question number 2, describe research and trends in the treatment of psychological disorders. Hopefully you found that helpful. If you did, please hit that subscribe button and the like button and leave me some comments. I always love to hear from all of you. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time.